Hey everyone, it's Van. Today I'm going to be talking about something I've been wanting to talk about for a while but just haven't had the time, which is the questions I get most frequently asked about the LGBTQ community. Now, I get asked these questions not only by friends and acquaintances, but by my friends' acquaintances and by my acquaintances and basically anyone I come in contact with, because I have somehow become the encyclopedia of all knowledge on LGBTQ issues. Which definitely isn't true. But today I'm going to try to at least explain the things I think I can. And if you have anything I didn't explain and you'd like to hear about, post it in the comments or message me, and I will talk about it in the next video that I can. So, jumping right into it, the first question I always get asked is, what is a non-binary gender? To explain it in the most simple terms that I can, not male, not female. Either somewhere in between, nowhere on the spectrum, anywhere that doesn't fit into those two genders. It's outside of the binary, meaning that you could be genderqueer, you could be trans femme, you could be agender, or anything else. There are also different spiritual genders, depending on religion and spiritual beliefs. I don't identify with any of those, and I don't know enough about them that I feel comfortable talking about them, but I'll try to find a video to link below talking about them. The next question I always get asked is, what do we need to do to improve the community and improve the welfare of the community now that marriage equality has been resolved in the United States? There's not just one thing. There's a lot of things. And I think we need to start off with talking about trans people. Just talking about them. Representing them in the media, on television, in songs, in movies, talking about them on the news, talking about them. Acknowledging they exist and acknowledging the problems they have, acknowledging the violence that is constantly perpetrated towards that community. Because I can't think of more than two characters that are trans, and they're both off of the same show. Now, that's just off the top of my head, but that still tells you something. We need to talk about trans people, and we need to talk about violence towards the entire community as a whole, because it's not something that gets brought up in the media. They're too scared to talk about it, and they need to stop being scared so we don't have to be scared anymore. We need to talk about jobs, or lack thereof, for people in our community. We need to talk about the ability to adopt. We need to talk about people being able to use the right restrooms for the gender they identify with. And there's a lot more, but I'm not going to go over 4 hours just on one video, especially not just on one question. The next question I always get asked is, what is ace or asexual? I'm not ace in any sense of the word, so I can't really give a full-out explanation. But to put it simply, you don't experience sexual attraction. You can experience platonic attraction or aesthetic attraction or romantic attraction, but you don't want to have sex with anyone. You don't look at someone and say, oh, I'd like to have sex with them. Now, you can have sex with them. Not all asexual people are repulsed by sex, but they don't go actively looking for it, or at least not that I know of. How do I identify? Which is a pretty loaded question, but if I was to answer it as of right now, pansexual, somewhere on the aromantic spectrum, and gender variant or non-binary. I don't think anyone really knows for sure how they identify at all, really, ever, because it's a lifelong journey of finding things out. You get experiences every day that help add to figuring out who you are, and that goes for any part of life. This is just my experience, so if you feel that you do know, that's awesome, and I believe you. But for me, the case has been, I have been always changing and always discovering new things about myself, especially when it comes to how I identify. A lot of people ask me what they shouldn't say to trans people. And there's a lot. And we're not trying to censor you. We're trying to enforce politeness, things that wouldn't normally be said, but they have to be because it's about trans people. You're not going to ask someone what genitals they have, or if they've had a certain surgery or on a certain medication if they're a cis person. But if they're trans for some reason, it's okay. People ask about what name they were assigned at birth. And some people only use that because that's the name they were given, that's their name. But, I mean, you don't tell people who have nicknames that you're only going to call them by the name on their birth certificate, so why do it to trans people? And don't refer to them as their dead name, the name that they were assigned that they don't identify with. Don't do it unless they tell you to do it because they're not out. Same with pronouns. If someone says they identify with they, them pronouns, use they, them pronouns unless you're around people that person isn't out to yet. Which brings me to my last question. Should I come out? Maybe. You should come out if you know you're safe, if you want to, if there's nothing preventing you from doing it, if you feel like you're ready. If you're not safe, if you're going to be kicked out, or if you think you're going to be harassed or beaten or anything like that, don't come out. Don't come out till you're safe. Your safety comes above everything else. If you don't feel like you're ready, you're not ready. That goes for everything in life. Don't come out. If you don't want to, there's no reason to. You're not required to come out. Straight people and cis people aren't required to come out, so neither are we. It can be really liberating. I'll be honest, coming out was amazing. It made me feel a lot better about myself, to be honest, but not everyone feels that way. And because not everyone feels that way, don't feel like you get to pressure people into coming out just because it helped you. Just because it helped you doesn't mean that it will help someone else. Things have different effects on different people. Don't force people into doing things they don't want to do. That's something you hear all the time is consent, 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 and that doesn't change just because it has to do with something you think people need to do. That's all I've got for right now. I'm running out of time too, but if you have any other questions, put them in the comments, message me. I would love to answer your questions. Like, comment, subscribe, and have an awesome day.